All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is HD StarCraft, and I am so happy, so proud to be able to bring you guys another game from this set. I'm going to go ahead and introduce the players real quick. Over the top right-hand corner, we of course have the red Zerg player. It is Empire's Ho8ot. And he is a Russian player, by the way. Don't know if I mentioned that. Down to the bottom left-hand corner, don't actually know where this guy is from, but he has at least one win in this set so far. It is Cougar. Now, the reason why I say at least, I guess for sure he's got one win in this set. The reason why I'm a little bit, hesitant to call out the total score right now is because recall, the first replay of this set was 2 seconds long, so that could mean that the player sent in the wrong game, and that could mean that the first game has already been played, and the series could very well be tied up at 1-1 right now. For sure, we've already ruled out the possibility of it being a 2-0 because, of course, this game exists. Basically, what I'm trying to say is the score is either 1-1 or it's 1-0. And I actually don't know, but we'll find out after this game, won't we? So we'll see. But for now, it is Ho8ot versus Cougar, and so far this game has been absolutely amazing, man. The series has been spectacular. We've seen the newest units being used, so much creativity, a proxy hatch into a warp gate timing, into Oracle using cloak fields and preordain. I mean, I was like standing up on the seat of my chair casting it because I just didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if Ho8ot or Cougar was going to win, and in the end, Cougar was able to take that victory down. So spectacular Zerg versus Protoss there. And now we're in game 2 or potentially game 3, not too sure which. But we'll find out what happens here, man. Will Ho8ot go for some more unorthodox play? Doesn't look like it. He does have a gas coming up. Very Evolution Chamber? He did this in the first game as well, and I didn't really get a chance to touch on this subject, but why would you go for a very fast Evo Chamber? I'm not entirely sure. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Does the Evolution Chamber allow Overlords to poop creep? Is that what it is? I actually think that's why he goes for the Evo Chamber early on. Yes, it must be. The Evolution Chamber now allows Zerg Overlords to poop creep. I mean, that's the only logical sense as to why he would make the Evo Chamber. And he's using this to prevent the Protoss from making a wall. Oh, this is so clever. Now, does he have Zerglings coming? He only has 2. And I'm expecting him to go ahead and make more Zerglings. There we go. 8 Zerglings up total now, and he still hasn't grabbed a hatchery yet. This is such a clever play, considering he's like Overlord's poop and creep. And, there is a gaping hole here with purple creep laying down a carpet of poop. And, there's no way Cougar can wall that off. This is very clever play by Ho8ot. And Ho8ot now beginning to make a lot more Zerglings. 4 plus 2, that's 6. And he's not too concerned about about getting the hatchery done. In fact, most Zergs would have tried to get the hatchery at the 3rd, but he doesn't really care. He's right now focused on punching a hole through the wall. The first 2 Zerglings have already made their way in, and Cougar wasting a Chrono Boost. But that's okay, man. Protoss have like an infinite Chrono Boost in the early game now. And double Overlord now pooping creep. So if one dies, the second one will still begin pooping, and now the Photon Cannon will go down. Nice play by Ho8ot. And Ho8ot now continues to stream in more Zerglings. By denying that Photon Cannon essentially means these Zerglings can kill off the pylon, powering everything. But Cougar makes 2 more pylons at the front. And so now there's no reason to really go after one pylon when the other 2 will come up. One was canceled though. And now Cougar trying to make up his mind what he wants to go for. He does have a speed boost on the creep. Another advantage for Ho8ot. Cougar can't lose the Stalker! Oh my god, he loses at the last second. And not good at all, man. He needs every single Stalker alive right now so he can hold off the Zergling aggression at the front door. It looks like now Ho8ot might be thinking about going after the pylons. But no, Photon Cannons are coming in. Looks like we had a little miniature pause. Now speed kicks in for the Zerglings. Well, when they're on creep, man, they are just rolling on roller skates. They are so fast. And Stalkers have no chance in hell. And now it looks like Cougar's pylon is going to go down. But he does have backup pylons coming up. so it's not a complete loss. What Ho8ot should actually do right now is go for the mineral fields inside the main. I'm surprised he isn't. Perhaps he realizes the Mothership Core might have the Purify ability, and in fact, that's the only thing that Cougar can use to stay alive. He uses Purify on the Nexus, transforming the Mothership Core Nexus into like a big photon cannon that does a lot of damage, and so it's just one-shotting the Zerglings right now, and it looks like the Zerg threat has been abated. So, once again, just crazy aggression to start of this game, but finally, it seems like Cougar is going to be able to hold off the aggression, and Ho8ot will have to settle down a little bit, but Ho8ot still has not grabbed a hatchery. He hasn't grabbed a natural hatchery. The hatcheral hasn't come down yet, and he so desperately needs it right now. And really the question is, you know, has he done enough damage to warrant this many Zerglings? And I don't know. I don't think so. He's only killed off Stalkers and whatnot, and he's kept the army supply of the Protoss down quite a bit. He looks like he's going to get this Sentry. No! Very nice force field. Wow, that's like a pro field. And a second Sentry coming out right now. But, you know, despite the good force fields, eventually Sentries will die to Zerglings once the force field disappears. And really the big question now is, can Ho8ot, you know, macro up enough to make up for, you know, not doing enough damage? I still don't think he's done enough. Now, one key thing, though, is he is keeping these Zerglings at the natural of the Protoss, and he's preventing the Protoss from claiming this Nexus. The longer he can do this, the better it looks for the Zerg player, and I really like what he's doing. Just keeping the Zerglings there, no need to ram them into the Photon Cannons and the Sentries, just keep them where the Nexus should be. And, you know, oh, he's going to get us around on the Sentries. Wow, that's another big play. Now, every unit he kills now actually is a big deal, and we finally see Zealots warping in from Cougar. I was surprised he didn't make Zealots earlier on to deal with these Zerglings, but you know, every Sentry he kills is a big deal. Every unit he kills is a big deal because Cougar has nothing else. He has no attacking units. And as time goes on, it suddenly looks like Ho8ot is certainly pulling ahead of Cougar now. These Zerglings have certainly been worth their weight, man. They've killed off like 2 or 3 Sentries, 2 or 3 Stalkers, a Zealot. They prevented this Nexus from going down for ages. And I really think, as of now, it has definitely been worth it, despite, you know, Ho8ot delaying his double expand for quite some time. He does now have them coming down. So a great game sense by Ho8ot, and just taking advantage of the new Heart of the Storm abilities. Hey, if Overlords can poop creep with Evo Chamber, I'm going to block your wall. And that worked out really well. That was extremely heads-up play by Ho8ot. Great job. Well done. Now, we do have a pylon coming up, and it looks like we might see a similar response from Cougar as we saw in the first game, which is a warp gate timing to counter. He has 2 warp gates right now. Still pretty much only on 1 base, trying to get the natural secured and going for a Stargate as well. And I guess he's going to try to warp in some Zealots. Yeah, there we go. Double Zealot coming in. There's still Zerglings alive inside the main base, and did they see the Stargate? No, not yet. Ho8ot would be well advised to go ahead and send those Zerglings down. And oh, does he see the Stargate? No, he did not see it. Should have tried to send it down to the bottom right to get a full scout off, so he can know, you know, it's either Void Ray Phoenix or Oracle coming out right now. And unfortunately, he did not send the Zergling down there to check. Now, we do have Zealots warping in over on the right-hand side, and this hatchery could be in some trouble. Roachhorn isn't done yet. Ho8ot's going to have to micro very well here. And I think, you know, in most situations, Zerg will just evacuate all their drones. There's really no reason to leave them here. But he's just going to try to make as much money as possible. And now he's going to send the drones to attack the Zealots, and going to use the Queen in conjunction to try to hold this off. Now, he's going to lose a lot of drones, man. This is usually not the kind of fight you want to fight up against. Drones versus Zealots. It's like SWAT team versus homeless people. And Ho8ot will probably want to run away. So will he transfuse the hatchery to try to keep it alive? Zerglings coming in. Now Zerglings have speed. That's going to help quite a bit. But the hatchery could go down. Transfuse number 1. Shoots out. Not enough energy for another transfuse. And the Zealots kill off the hatchery. Nice play. Man, that was just 4 Zealots running in and preventing that hatchery, really, and that was so cost effective for 400 minerals. Yeah, it's only a 300 mineral hatchery, but you got to consider it also prevents mining from the Zerg player and any future income as well. So great play, and I think Ho8ot just ended up blocking his own hatchery with that creep tumor. He needs to kill off that tumor if he wants to get another hatchery down there. So a bit of a mistake right there by Ho8ot, who is now running up to check for the proxy pylon. He finds it, and X marks the spot. He should kill this off as quickly as he possibly can so that no more units can warp in. And, you know, I think with Cougar coming in and killing off this hatchery with 4 zealots, I feel like this game has once again, despite the early aggression, the early shenanigans, it has reset into a normal game. And now we have Phoenix coming in as well. Cougar coming in with a double Phoenix, choosing not to make an Oracle right away, but the Oracle is coming after the 2 Phoenix. And he's going to try to kill off a Queen with just 2. I wonder if he can do that. That would be crazy. There's a 3rd Phoenix coming in though, so that Queen will die. But of course, Phoenix don't really pose much of a threat when they're only 3 in number, and the Zerg player Ho8ot can just make Spore Crawlers, which he's already making 1 inside the main. But yeah, you know, just going back to what I was saying before, I feel like this game has reset back into a normal stage now, with both players kind of settling down 2 base to 3 base. Almost feels like Protoss just went for a Stargate play and is starting to Phoenix harass right now. If you will, if you rewind the clock to 11 minutes, or maybe even more to 9 minutes, this is what a ZVP would look like if Protoss went on 1 Stargate. Now, Cougar is actually killing off a lot more units than he should be. Free presence here, and now Hydralisk coming in from Ho8ot. Hydra's not a bad idea at all to counter the Phoenix. He's got more than enough Hydras here. Focus fires to weaken Phoenix down. And those Phoenix are probably going to call it a day now. That's actually a lot of Hydras coming out from Ho8ot, and you don't want to fight against Hydras with Phoenix when you're that low in number. So for now, it's probably in in Cougar's best interest to go ahead and pull back. And Cougar going for the Colossus support bay. I call it the Colossus support bay. It is what it is. But essentially, it allows you to make Colossus. Not a bad idea at all. When you see Hydras, Colossus are still the perfect counter to them. Having said that though, Hydras are so much better now in Heart of the Storm once you get up to Hive and you get Hydra speed, and we actually have Ventral Sacs and a Nidus network coming from Ho8ot. What is going on? Now the Protoss player has come in with an Entomb. Notice how that really dips the Zerg minerals down. You actually have to attack these Entomb fields to kill them off, and you know, if you just leave him there, oh man, he's double entombing the natural as well. And when you do that, Zerg cannot mine. And if you forget to tell your workers to go back to mining, they will actually just sit idle forever. So this is a great little harass technique by the Oracle coming in. The income for the Zerg dipping to 300. So it's essentially not even there. And now Ho8ot comes in with the drop play. I am just freaking out right now, guys. There's so much things going on. I can't even cast this game right now. Finally, it looks like the Zerg drone's remining, but it looks like there's a huge drop here. Nidus network comes up. Nidus worm, excuse me. And Hydra's coming in. A lot of Hydras. And Cougar might be in too much trouble here. He's going to need some really good force fields to split these Hydras apart. And Ho8ot needs to reinforce here using the Nidus network. Nidus worm to bring in more Hydralisks. It's going to be a very close battle. A lot of Immortals here, but Immortals aren't the greatest against Hydralisks. And now Zergling's starting to warp in, coming through the orifice. And a Colossus comes from home. And that Colossus is going to help oh so much for Cougar, who targets down the Nidus worm, but he loses the Colossus in the effort. This game is absolutely insane. There's even a Queen here from Ho8ot. I don't even know why you would bring in a Queen, maybe to spit out some tumors or whatever, but that didn't work out so well, and there's another Nidus Storm coming up right now for the Zerg player. The Oracle, in the meantime, has not been using too much of its Entomb ability after the first wave. Nidus Worm now spitting out some more reinforcements. I'm not too sure, as a Zerg player, why you would spit out units here, although he can load them up into the Overlords and proceed to drop once again into the Protoss main. And it looks like instead of doing that, he's going to go ahead and send the Zerglings over to the north side to pick off this Protoss third Nexus. Very nice play so far from both these players. This is some serious heads-up play, ladies and gentlemen. And Ho8ot is going to go for the Nexus. Meanwhile, the Oracle comes in for an Entomb over the Zerg. Additional lost mining time for Ho8ot, and the Mothership Core teleports to the third and begins to purify the Zerglings. Wow. if we just look at the units lost tab right now, for for the time it is at only 20 minutes in, 9,600 and 7,000 resources lost. That is an astronomical number for this point in the game. That's insane. And the aggression isn't over yet, man. Ho8ot is not taking his foot off the gas pedal. He is using the Nidus Worm to reinforce this point, and then using the reinforcements and loading them into the Overlords, and then just pooping them down over in the Protoss main base. And he is going to go for the Twilight Council. No, going to redirect over to the Colossus here. And he also desperately needs that Hive research for the Hydralisks to get the speed upgrade. They are so slow without Hive. And he hasn't really started the Hive yet, so the Hydra's very, very slow right now. And it's probably in his best interest to go ahead and get the hell out of there, as Cougar kills off the Nidus Worm inside of his main base. Wow, this game, totally crazy. There is an Oracle flying around behind the Zerg main bases, and he could try to go for some more entombs. Meanwhile, Ho8ot loading up his Hydralisk into his Overlord is going to maybe drop them over to the Protoss Natural. And yes, he is. He's going to unload these Hydras with +1 weapons and Hydra range, doing damage. Meanwhile, Oracle once again entombs the Zerg mineral fields, and it looks like he's using the Zealots to go after the hatchery. I think the hatchery is going to live. It will. And so far, man, this is just a bizarre game of StarCraft 2, really. I like the Entomb, though. The Entomb, what it does is it limits the Zerg economy so much that it actually prevents them from even making units. They're actually going to have such a huge surplus in gas, and when you have a situation like that, it's very hard for Zerg to make the units they need to win the fight. So I really like the Entombs coming out from from Cougar so far against Ho8ot. It certainly has helped him stay alive in this game, and now he's moving out with more Zealots across the middle of the map, looking to maybe pick off this hatchery or this hatchery. It looks like he'll go for this one first. There is a Nidus Worm that just morphed in on the top side. And this is just relentless aggression by Ho8ot. Ho8ot bringing in Hydras and Zerglings, but there's a Colossus here. And the Colossus, along with Zealots coming in, should be able to clean this up. I don't think Ho8ot really wants to stick around. That would be a dangerous call, because he can lose the Hydra so quickly when they don't have the speed upgrade available now in Heart of the Storm. And now it looks like the Zealots, bypassing the hatchery in the bottom right, gonna go maybe for the hatchery, but the drones doing a great job of just blocking the Zealots from getting nearby, and a transfuse coming down as well. So the hatchery should live. And meanwhile, another Nidus Worm coming up inside the main base. Wow. Ho8ot is just all over the place, ladies and gentlemen. 65 workers to 59. Can Ho8ot go after critical structures here? He is going to go for one gateway, but the Colossus immediately come back. And it seems like every time Ho8ot comes in with these Hydras, he does some superficial damage, some cosmetic damage, but he's never really able to go after anything serious because the Colossus are so close, and with Extended Thermal Lance, they're just able to just kind of walk over and pick off the Hydras before they can deal a critical, serious blow. And so Ho8ot is still trying to play this game of cat and mouse, but now he's run into Psionic Storm. He's got to be careful. He's going to lose a ton of units here due to the Psionic Storm, and the Entomb continuing to come in behind the mineral fields. And, that Entomb, man, it really does start to add up. I can tell you guys from personal experience playing against Protoss, if you let the Entomb continue to just attack your mineral fields and you're not paying attention, your drones, you might forget to put them back on mining. And, we can already see some inefficiencies here in the mining for the Zerg player. Not good at all. But you know what? Considering how much multitasking he's doing with all these Nidus Worms, all these constant attacks against a Protoss player, it's actually a miracle that he's still paying attention to his mineral fields and able to get his drones back to mining. Just a testament, really, to these players' extremely high skill level. And now, it looks like Ho8ot is going to switch it up a little bit and gonna go for Swarm Hosts. And he's making Swarm Hosts, and he's getting the Infestation Pit upgrade for the Locust lifetime. That gives the Locusts 33% more longevity when they come out, which is actually a pretty big upgrade for the Locusts. But I do feel like going for Locusts at this point in the game might not be the best decision. There is another United Swarm that just died. I feel like Locust and Swarm Host are a really good unit in the early mid-game when the Protoss hasn't secured a base yet. Similar to Lurkers, you can use them to contain the Protoss player. But in this portion of the game, when the Protoss is healthily mining off of 3 bases, I guess 2 bases since the third is fully mined out, the Swarm Host can be a very hard unit to use. They're really good in the early mid game, and they're really good in the super late game when you need units that can just recycle their energy, like Templar, like Archon, like Swarm Host. At this portion, it can be very hard to pull off a Swarm Host effectively, in my personal opinion. So we'll see what happens, but it does look like Ho8ot is going to once again get a United Swarm into the Protoss main base. And Cougar's already moved out across the map. He's going to be able to kill off this hatchery, and if he has enough energy on his mothership core, he can actually recall back home, but he doesn't have enough energy on the core. A crying shame for the Protoss player, because now there is Swarm Hosts and Hydras inside his main base. He could very well lose his robotic support bay, and Zerglings are attacking the Protoss 4th Nexus at the same time. This game is absolutely insane! And it looks like Ho8ot now going to pull away into the United Swarm, and he is able to get out of there before the worm dies, before the evacuation route is killed off. And now Cougar going to be able to kill off another hatchery. And Ho8ot needs to get enough forces here to defend here, because this Protoss Death March continue onwards without any resistance if he doesn't get some type of units here to help back himself up. And now Viper's just kind of flying across the map. Don't know what they're doing. Oh, gonna be able to make it back home, it looks like. And the attack, the assault has stopped. Ho8ot is gonna call GG! Ho8ot calls GG, and the Swarm Hosts, that's the reason why I feel like in the late game they're not the best unit. They're really good in the early mid game and the super late game when players are running out of money, because you can constantly make a free unit. But in the late game, not the super late game, in the late game when, you know, Protoss has this army they can reinforce really easily, I don't feel like the Swarm Host is the best unit. And I think Ho8ot kind of paid the price making so many Swarm Hosts and really never was able to eke out much effectiveness out of it. But oh my god, my mind is blown right now at how insane this StarCraft 2 game was. It looks like Cougar is your winner, and I guess that means that those 2 games, the first game I casted of this set was the actual first game. Cougar took the first win, and then the second game here, Cougar took the second win. So Cougar is going to go on to the semifinals. The round of 8 is over. Next up, guys, I'll have the semifinals of this tournament. This has been absolutely amazing. I hope you guys have enjoyed the cast. If you did, make sure to check me out. I'm at youtube.com/HDStarcraft. And I almost don't want to stop casting right now, because it's like this has been so amazing. I don't want it to end yet, but you know, all good things come to an end. And wow, I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you guys in the next cast. Semifinal A coming up next from the European Heart of the Storm tournament. Don't go anywhere. This is HD StarCraft signing out.